There's a strange moment that happens to millions of people. They finally make more money. The number on the paycheck gets bigger. The job title sounds better. The bank account looks stronger for a few days. And for a short moment, it feels like life is finally about to get easier. But then something quiet happens. The apartment gets upgraded. The car payment gets bigger. The phone gets newer. The restaurants get nicer. The vacations get less optional. The clothes have to match the new version of them. And somehow, after all that progress, they still feel broke. Not because they are lazy, not because they are stupid, but because more money did not make them free. It gave them permission to build a more expensive cage. Most people grow up believing one simple promise. If I can just make more money, everything will finally be okay. If I can get the raise, I will stop worrying. If I can get the better job, I will stop feeling behind. If I can reach that next income level, I will finally breathe. And it makes sense, because when you are struggling, money looks like the missing piece. When rent is painful, more income looks like peace. When bills are stacked on the table, more income looks like control. When your card declines or your account balance drops too close to zero, more income looks like dignity. So people chase it. They work longer hours. They switch jobs. They take on pressure. They sacrifice sleep. They tell themselves, once I make more, I will finally fix this. But here's the painful part. A higher income does not automatically create a better financial life. It only creates more options. And if you do not have control over your habits, your emotions, and your image, those options can turn into new expenses faster than they turn into freedom. The trap usually does not feel like a trap at first. It feels reasonable. You get a raise and you think, I have been working hard. I deserve a better car. You get a new job and you think, I should probably live closer to work in a nicer place. You start earning more and suddenly the old phone feels embarrassing. The old clothes feel cheap. The old furniture feels temporary. The old lifestyle feels like something you are supposed to leave behind. This is how lifestyle inflation begins. Not with one huge reckless decision, but with small permissions, a slightly better apartment, a slightly higher car payment, a few more dinners out, a little more online shopping, a vacation that feels earned, a subscription you barely notice, a credit card balance you promise to pay later. Individually, each decision feels harmless, but together, they quietly erase the raise. And before the person realizes it, the extra income is gone before it ever becomes savings. The raise did not change their life. It just raised the price of their life. Lifestyle inflation is dangerous because it hides inside normal life. It does not always look like buying a mansion or a sports car. Sometimes it looks like ordering delivery 3 times a week because cooking feels too exhausting now. It looks like upgrading from a normal apartment to one with better lighting, better countertops, a better lobby, and a rent payment that quietly eats the raise. It looks like replacing a reliable car with a newer one because the old one no longer fits the image. It looks like buying better shoes, better jackets, better watches, better bags because now you work around people who seem to have those things. It looks like saying yes more often. Yes to brunch, yes to drinks, yes to trips, yes to gifts, yes to weddings, yes to things you would have said no to when you earned less. And the scary part is that none of this feels like failure. It feels like improvement. It feels like you are finally living. But if every improvement comes with a payment, a subscription, a balance, or a higher monthly cost, then your income is not creating freedom. It is creating pressure. The most expensive upgrades are not always the ones you pay for once. They are the ones that follow you every month. A car is not just a car. It is the payment, the insurance, the fuel, the maintenance, the parking, the anxiety of keeping up with it. A nicer apartment is not just a nicer place to sleep. It is higher rent, higher utilities, more furniture, maybe a longer lease, and a new baseline for what you now consider normal. A phone is not just a phone. It is the plan, the accessories, the protection, the upgrade cycle, and the quiet pressure to always have the newest version. Even a better lifestyle becomes a kind of contract. The restaurants become normal. The vacations become expected. The clothes become part of your identity. The people around you get used to the new version of you. And then going backward starts to feel humiliating. This is why lifestyle inflation is so hard to reverse. Because people do not just spend more money, they build a life where spending less feels like losing status. They do not want to move back to the cheaper apartment. They do not want to drive the older car. They do not want to tell friends they cannot afford the trip. They do not want to admit that the raise did not make them safe. So they keep paying, even when it hurts. One of the biggest money traps in modern life is confusing looking better with doing better. Looking better is visible. Doing better is quiet. Looking better is the car people notice. Doing better is having no car payment. Looking better is the apartment that photographs well. Doing better is rent that lets you sleep at night. Looking better is expensive clothes, a nice phone, beautiful dinners, weekend trips, and a life that looks successful from the outside. Doing better is having an emergency fund. Doing better is paying off debt. Doing better is investing before you upgrade. Doing better is not panicking when an unexpected bill arrives. But the problem is, nobody claps for the quiet version. Nobody sees the money you did not spend. Nobody compliments the debt you paid off. Nobody likes a photo of your emergency fund, so people choose the kind of progress that can be seen. They buy signals. Signals of success, signals of taste, signals of confidence, signals that say, I am not struggling anymore. But a signal is not security. And if the image is financed by stress, then it is not success. It is performance. Social media makes this worse because it turns everyone's life into a storefront. You do not see people's full financial reality. You see the dinner, you see the hotel, you see the new car, you see the apartment view, you see the shopping bag on the passenger seat. You see the best 10 seconds of someone else's month, and your brain compares it to your entire life. That comparison creates pressure. Pressure to upgrade. Pressure to prove you are not behind. Pressure to look like you belong in the income level you just reached. And then comes the phrase that has cost people thousands of dollars. I deserve it. And sometimes you do deserve something. You deserve rest. You deserve comfort. You deserve dignity. You deserve to enjoy your life. But companies know that phrase is powerful. Advertisers know it. Social media knows it. Credit card companies know it. Luxury brands know it. Restaurants know it. Travel companies know it. They know that when you are tired, stressed, underappreciated, and finally earning a little more, you are easier to sell to, because the purchase does not feel like a purchase. It feels like compensation. It feels like emotional repayment for everything you went through. But if every hard season gets rewarded with a payment plan, your future self becomes the one who pays for your present pain. And that is how comfort becomes debt. People assume stress goes down when income goes up. But that only happens if the gap between income and expenses gets bigger. If income rises by $1,000 a month, but expenses rise by $1,200, life does not get easier. It gets tighter. And this is what happens to many people. They earn more, but they also owe more. They have a better job, but now they need that job more than ever. They have a nicer lifestyle, but now they are more afraid of losing it. They look successful, but one emergency could expose how fragile everything is. This kind of stress is different. When you are broke at a low income, the pain is obvious. But when you are broke at a higher income, the pain is confusing. Because everyone assumes you are doing fine. You assume you should be doing fine. So the shame gets heavier. You think, how am I making this much and still struggling? How did I get the raise and still have nothing left? How did I become the person I used to think was rich and still feel trapped? That is the hidden cruelty of lifestyle inflation. It does not just take your money. It makes you doubt yourself. Fake progress is when your life looks more expensive, but your position is not stronger. Real progress is when your life becomes more stable, even if it does not impress anyone. Fake progress says, I can afford the payment. Real progress asks, can I afford the freedom this payment will cost me? Fake progress upgrades the outside first. Real progress builds the foundation first. Fake progress makes your friends think you are winning. Real progress lets you survive a bad month without panic. Fake progress is a nicer car with no savings. Real progress is a modest car and money left over. Fake progress is a luxury apartment that keeps you working out of fear. Real progress is a home you can afford without becoming a prisoner to your paycheck. Fake progress is buying things because you finally can. Real progress is realizing that just because you can buy something does not mean it belongs in your life. This does not mean you should never enjoy your money. Money is not only for saving. Life is not supposed to be punishment, but enjoyment without awareness can become a trap. The goal is not to look poor. The goal is not to feel guilty for wanting nice things. The goal is to make sure your income is buying freedom first and image second. Because if image comes first, freedom may never arrive. The dangerous part is that lifestyle inflation always feels normal while it is happening. It does not announce itself. It does not say, this raise is about to disappear. It does not say, this upgrade will become your new minimum. It does not say, you are about to build a life that requires constant income, constant pressure, and constant performance just to stay standing. It simply whispers, you worked hard, you deserve this. You can afford it now, and maybe you can. But the question is not only whether you can afford the thing, the question is whether you can afford the life that comes after the thing. Because every time your income grows, you have a choice. You can let your lifestyle grow first, or you can let your freedom grow first. Most people choose lifestyle without realizing it. They make more money, then raise their expenses, then wonder why nothing changed. And if that pattern continues, there may never be an income high enough to make them feel rich. Because richness is not just how much comes in. It is how much of your life you still control after the money comes in. So if every raise becomes a bigger car, a nicer apartment, a more expensive weekend, a better image, and another monthly obligation, then more money will not save you. It will only give you a more expensive version of the same problem. And one day you may look around at a life that appears successful from the outside and quietly realize you bought everything except freedom.